Have you wondered about infusible ink and whether or not you can layer it? Today, I'll show you how to avoid making a big mistake with a layered infusible ink project, so you can transfer these sublimation ink sheets with confidence and sublimate without ever needing a sublimation printer. Hello, everyone. JenniferMaker here. It's a beautiful day to learn how to layer infusible ink onto a super cute and useful tote bag. When I want vibrant, durable, and permanent designs, I turn to sublimation. No printer? Well, that's where infusible ink is the perfect material to create beautiful, colorful designs. Today, we'll use infusible ink transfer sheets. They can be cut into shapes, then pressed onto a polymer or polyester surface, just like a sublimation print. I'll show you how to do it using a cricut cutting machine. Infusible ink comes in a bunch of different colors. So many, in fact, that I want to use more than one color in a design. For the most vibrant results, infusible ink should only be pressed once, however. So I'll show you how to apply layers of infusible ink all at one time, even from different sheets. Or if you want to add customization to your tote bag after you've pressed it, that is also possible. So stay tuned. If you need help with Cricut Design Space or cutting your infusible ink transfer sheets, I'll show you that too. All you need to get started are some basic sublimation materials like cardstock and butcher paper, and of course a heat press. So first, let me show you how to prepare and cut your weeded infusible ink design layers for pressing. Here are the pieces for the snacks design, which I cut with my Cricut and weeded the excess infusible ink from. You can make a simple design really stand out by using more than one color, like this two-tone snack tote decoration. But all of the infusible ink needs to touch the fabric or it won't transfer. And there's extra carrier sheet in the way here when I layer the pieces like this, and that won't work. Remember, you only need the carrier sheet to help keep the design elements together. Since the Always Pack piece has more carrier sheet, grab the snacks piece and use scissors to trim the plastic closely around its top edge. Try not to get any skin oils on the ink, or it may cause issues getting an even transfer. Now, when I place this second layer down, none of the carrier sheet covers the infusible ink on the first piece. You can use your screen in Cricut Design Space for alignment reference if you like. Press to adhere the layers together, then double check that there is no carrier sheet covering any of the infusible ink. Looks good. Flip the adhered layers over to see how the design will look when it transfers. That's cute, but what if you want to use a slightly more complex layer design? See these little design elements? They're in the right spots, but parts of their carrier sheets are blocking areas on the bottom layer. But that's okay because we can trim those too. Leave a thin border of carrier sheet around each of them. Then reference your Cricut Design Space canvas for placement, pressing each element down sticky side up where they belong on the design. Make sure none of the carrier sheet covers any of the infusible ink on the main part of the design. It's kind of like a puzzle, just take your time. Then check your progress on the front and remember you can always trim more. Now we're ready to sublimate. Even though the designs look different, we'll sublimate them the same way. So let's get to the heat. Now before you sublimate anything, be sure to open a window or turn on a fan to improve your ventilation. And remember, the heat settings depend on your blanks material. My tote bag here is made from 100% polyester canvas, so it has polymers for the sublimation ink dye to hold on to. In my sublimation cookbook, polyester canvas matches my canvas pillows. So I set my easy press to 385 degrees Fahrenheit. That would be 195 degrees Celsius. Then I set my timer for 60 seconds. Place the tote bag on your pressing mat with the side that you would like to sublimate face up. My bag is pretty wrinkly, so I'll press it for 10 to 15 seconds to smooth it out while the press heats up. Doing this also doubles to preheat the material, which is important because it removes moisture that could interfere with a good transfer. Move the press around if you need to smooth the wrinkles out. Just remember to keep it still when you're sublimating later on. Fold the bag in half vertically and press it for 10 to 15 seconds to make a center crease for alignment. Slip white cardstock inside to protect the back layer just in case any of the ink seeps through. Place the bag face up with the handles up and out of the way to avoid any bumps in your transfer area. Lint roll the polyester to remove dust or debris that could interfere with the transfer. I'll grab the more detailed design first. Turn it sticky side down and position it over the tote bag. Using the handles as a guide, center the design. Once it's where you want it, press the design down with your fingers. You don't need to use heat-resistant tape because the carrier sheet should be sticky enough to keep it in place. Place a piece of clean, white, uncoated butcher paper over the design, and now you're ready to press. Adjust your heat press so the plate will cover the entire design. Press the tote bag with firm pressure at 385 degrees Fahrenheit or 195 degrees Celsius for 60 seconds. When the time is up, lift the heat press straight up to avoid shifting the materials while the ink is still at gas and sublimating. Place the press back down onto its cradle since it's still hot. Now wait at least 10 seconds for the materials to cool, then remove the butcher paper and peel off the carrier sheets. And there's the design. How cute is that? My snacks design turned out great. I think I'll give it to Greg for his work snacks on the farm. And what if you want to add personalization to your tote, but it's already been pressed? No worries, because you can do that. You can learn how to do that and more in a special program called Advance over at JenniferMaker.com/advance. As part of the program, you'll get early access to the exclusive tutorial. And once you learn how to use this technique for the tote bags, you can apply the skills to other projects, so the creativity doesn't stop there. You'll also gain access to my vast library of designs, projects, and resources, plus our fun member challenges. Go to JenniferMaker.com/advance to learn more. When I pressed the coffee design, though, I was surprised to see that parts of the design didn't transfer. Do you see what I did wrong and how I could have avoided it? Let me know in the comments if you see it. So let me show you how to avoid issues like this using these designs as an example. You can find my coffee, crafty, and snack designs over at JenniferMaker.com/692. And you can either download right from that link by saving the project or download from my entire free design collection. Look for libraries in the red bar at the top and then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one or enter the library. Search the page for design number 692 and click the link to download the designs. There are designs in the SVG folder for cutting with a Cricut cutting machine, and there's also copies in the DXF folder for other cutting machines. And if you're not sure how to download and use zip files, go to JenniferMaker.com/svgs to learn how to do this. Now, before you do anything, I recommend you measure your bag, which will help in figuring out which size to cut your design. My bag, without the handles, measured 15 by 16 inches. I'll show you how to do this with the snacks design, but the coffee and crafty designs follow the same steps. Now, it can be tough to correctly size designs that have a different shape than the blank without visualizing the finished product. I found the quickest way to do this is to click Shapes on the left side of the screen, and then select the free square to add it to your canvas, and then click the little arrow to close the Shapes window. Click the lock icon to unlock the square's proportions. Then change the width and height to match the measurements that you recorded earlier. Click the drop-down menu under Operation and select Guide. The shape will become a pink outline, the same size as your tote bag. Now drag your design inside the guide. Since we just added the guide, it's on top, so click Arrange and Send to Back. Click and drag the corner handles on the design to resize it. The Infusible Ink sheet that I want to use is 12 by 12 inches, so I'll resize my design to 11.5 inches wide. You can also enter the dimensions under Size at the top. And that's all we need to do. The guide won't be cut, so make sure the correct machine is selected, then click Make in the upper right corner of the screen. On the Prepare screen, make sure that the On Mat and 12 by 12 inches options are selected. And be sure to toggle Mirror to On both of the mats, so the design won't be backward when you transfer it. We always mirror Infusible Ink. And then click Continue. On the Make screen, click Browse All Materials and search for Infusible Ink Transfer Sheet, and select More Pressure for a cleaner cut. And check the box next to Remember Material Settings to apply the settings to the second mat too. Place your first mat's infusible ink sheet pretty side up on a green standard grip machine mat so it covers the design area on the screen. Use your brayer to smooth it down and make sure it's really well adhered. With a clean, premium 5-point blade in the correct clamp, load your mat into your Cricut and press the flashing middle button to begin cutting. When it's all finished, unload your mat, flip it over, and carefully peel it away. If there's a lot of uncut infusible ink transfer sheet left over, be sure to cut it off and save it for smaller projects. Now we do need some extra carrier sheet to put the pieces together, so leave about 1/2 inch around the design. Now cut your second mat the same way. Weeding infusible ink transfer sheets is fun because you can start by gently rolling and bending the cut areas until the edges of the design start to lift up from the carrier sheet. And some cracking noises are normal and fine, so don't worry if you hear them. Once your infusible ink sheet is completely weeded, flip it over and look at it from the back. This is how your design will appear on your tote bag. Make sure that you didn't miss any extra bits or they'll be pressed onto the tote. Place the weeded sheets on your work surface, sticky side up. Then piece the elements together like I showed you. Remember my coffee mistake where the parts didn't transfer? That's because I forgot to trim away the extra transfer sheet to expose the second layer. See right there? It's important to check that no carrier sheet is covering the design where it touches the bag, or those spots will not transfer. There's a bit of carrier sheet blocking these spots from being sublimated. Let's get rid of them this time. You can use scissors to cut out the inside of the banner, but it's safer to put the carrier sheet sticky side up on a self-healing cutting mat so you don't damage your work surface. Then use a craft knife to carefully cut away the carrier sheet inside of the large banner shape. Be really careful. The knife is sharp. Again, leave a bit of carrier sheet around the banner's inside edges. Use your Cricut Design Space screen as a reference and hold the banner layer sticky side up over the Good Mood layer, but don't press it down. Make sure the Is Sponsored By text is between the banner and the coffee text, but isn't touching either. Then use your fingers to tack the banner into place so the layers don't shift. The Is Sponsored By part can't be covered, so trim the carrier sheet closely all along the bottom of the banner and across the sheet. Then carefully trim across the sheet along the top of coffee. Now that part of the design will transfer since there's no carrier sheet blocking it. Check the design closely to be sure that there's no other spots where the top layer is covering any infusible ink on the bottom layer. This spot is covered too. It is so important to check. Once everything is trimmed and not blocked, press to adhere the designs together. Then carefully peel them off the mat. Flip the layers over to check their placement. So, did it work? It sure did. Trimming out the inside of the banner and underneath it, let all of the infusible ink come in contact with the bag, so the entire design is sublimated in one press. I just love how this layered infusible ink tote bag turned out. I hope you'll make some too and share your colorful creations with us. And if you want to learn how to add your own personalization to a finished tote bag or anything else that's finished like this but needs a little extra, remember to visit JenniferMaker.com/advance for more information. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is JenniferMaker reminding you to craft a life you love.